this one better. By the way, this one, if some of my old subscribers remember, this was a gift. I still keep it. So this little Tubiteka Uzbek hat dates from the day when I drove my Yellow International from Toronto, or from Cambridge, Ontario. I drove it 500 miles to New Jersey, New York line, and gave it to this guy. And I still remember it was 18,500 bucks. You know, not bad for a regular International with how many miles I had? I think I had like close to 800,000. But it was a super nice Cat C15, custom tuned, you know. And we went to, he took me to a restaurant, we celebrated, and he gave me this hat. But what happened is that it started shrinking. I think I had it washed a couple of times, and the lady at the laundromat just used very hot water, you know. But anyway, I wanted to show you more little towns, because the plan, I left Ganado, Texas this morning because I spent a week there waiting for loads. And of course Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was like, usually Wednesday is okay, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was dead. Thursday things started popping up on the load board, but I couldn't book anything. It was either everything was they were asking for a long deck, yeah, like 30 feet long, you know, or it was multiple pieces, like some cheap stuff, but even at least that one I could take back to Canada, right? But it was multiple pieces, and like one load was 35,000 pounds, but my weight is 60, so 60 plus 35, that's 95, right? So I already need a permit for weight, and of course brokers don't understand this. Like, how can somebody be heavy like this? But you have to be heavy in order to hold heavy stuff, right? You cannot just turn off your heavy weight, turn on and turn off, right? Like I took this trencher, 80,000 pound trencher to Texas, right? You have to be heavy, right? I cannot just leave my axles at a truck stop somewhere. But I could disconnect 2 axles and gain 6,000 pounds in payload. So instead of 60, if I leave my 2 axles somewhere, I'll be 54. But even then, 54 plus 35, that's already over 80, right? And I called the guy. This was loading in Georgia, and I said, and it's going to Ontario or Quebec or somewhere, but anyway, it was going to Canada, so I can do it. And the guy says, yeah, it's one load. I said, no. He said, one piece or, sorry, one piece or multiple pieces? He says, no, it's one load, but it's a few crates basically. It was either generators or some AC units, something like that. And I said, I cannot do it. It's multiple pieces. They will never give me a permit, right? You cannot get a permit in most states if you're over 80,000 and you have more than one piece, because the logic is we don't want it to be overweight and, you know, put so much weight on the pavement. Just take off the other piece and run legal, you know. So, and that's the rule. The rule is, so if you're over 80,000, most of the time, unless there's some kind of a special rule, like in Indiana there's a rule, I'll tell you about that in a second, but most of the time it's just one piece. But Indiana, there was a load. No, one guy called me, turns out he was just shopping for a rate. I thought the load was ready, but there was a bunch of steel plates near Chicago going to Canada, and the plates are like 14 feet long, 5 feet wide, and maybe this tall, you know, I don't know, less than a foot. but each plate is 30,000 pounds, right? So if I take one, I'm already 90,000 pounds. And the broker says, the customer is wondering, is it possible to ship more than one at a time? And I thought, let me find out. So I called Indiana DOT, because it was loading near Chicago, but on the Indiana side, you know. I called them and they said actually they do have a special rule, but it has to be for specific cargo, like they have items listed there. And steel plates actually in Indiana work. They say you are allowed to get this special permit. It's called commodity permit, overweight commodity permit. And if your commodity, your load is on that list, then you're good to go. Basically what they do allow in Indiana, you can be up to 120,000 pounds gross, which of course doesn't work very well for me, because but they allow you to take as many plates as you want, but you cannot be over 120. But because I'm 60, right, so 2 plates it's 60 and 60 is 120. So under this rule I can only take 2 plates, but that's only in Indiana. Michigan, Ontario are different, because it was going, you know, from Indiana, right, you have to cross through Michigan, and then there's Ontario. I double checked with Ontario permit office. They said no, multiple pieces not allowed. And that's what we truckers often complain about, is that not only one country is different from another country, like Canada from US, but each state is different. You see, like Indiana has this nice rule. So if you have a light truck, if you have like a step deck, right, maybe you can load a bunch of these, because your empty weight probably will be, if I remember correctly, with my International, when I had a 48-foot step deck, I think I weighed about 32,000 pounds. Yeah, because I remember I could have done 48 maximum. So you see, with this one, so it's 32, so you can do 3. Can you do 3? 90? No, you cannot. You still cannot do 3 plates at 30,000 pounds. But anyway, all that, I told them, I said, maybe we can just weld them together. You know, just ask your shipper if they can weld like a bar on each corner and make them legal into one piece that cannot be separated, you know. And actually, when I asked this Indiana lady about this on the phone, she started laughing. I said, why are you laughing? Like, that's not cheating. Like, if they weld a piece, it becomes one piece. They do it all the time with forklifts, you know, when they weld something to the frame, like some part, because then it's considered part of the machine, you know. It's not separate, it's welded, you cannot take it off. But she was just laughing at me. She said, oh, we have this rule about multiple plates. But then this broker, I said, if we can do this, if they can turn them into one piece, I said, I can do 3 at a time. Just give me all 12. I'll run back and forth. How much do you need? I gave him the price. And of course, as soon as you give the broker a price, the next thing you hear usually from the broker is that, let's say you tell them $3,000, and then the next message is usually, oh, I already shipped it, I already covered it for $1,000. So this particular broker found a guy with a B-train, or like those multiple axle flatbeds, because of course this load, it doesn't actually need an RGN, because it's so low, so you can load them on anything, right? And so they found one of those multiple axle RGNs, and they have a permit that allows them multiple pieces. I don't know, but it's complicated situation. But anyway, so I started leaving. The plan was, since I already wasted a week, I did get a good rate going into Texas with a heavy trencher, right? But I already was, I delivered Saturday, right? And then Sunday I drove towards Victoria, and Monday I think I drove to that Ganado, Texas, Ganado, because I needed to do my that maintenance. Like that's why I did that video about maintenance day at Sergei Drachev heavy haul, right? But then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, a couple of loads showed up. Friday, maybe first half of the day was busy, and that's it. I thought that's it. You know, I'm out of patience. I was bidding on some loads on a couple of online auctions. Nothing happened. The guy posts a load. I win. Actually, my price was the lowest one, and the guy disappears. You know, the guy does not respond to messages, and then I checked this morning and everything is gone. Like before I saw my quote, I saw the results, but the guy was supposed to get in touch with me or somebody if he didn't like me, because I never hold for this particular auction. Like my record like is 0 there, like no comments, you know, like how I performed before. So he could have picked up somebody else, but he didn't pick anybody. And then I check in the morning, all records just disappeared. So basically that auction disappeared, not valid. And there were 90 people bidding on this 70,000 pound excavator going from Texas to Ontario, I think. You know, 90 people were thinking, you know, sitting at the computer bidding, and this guy just posts something and then just walks away. You know, I hate this. And then there was another one, some kind of a wheel loader somewhere in Pennsylvania, and they say it's ready to load Monday. I submitted a bid, but quite high, because I got tired of these games, you know, and so there's nothing holding me in Texas. And so what do you do in a situation like this? Like, I have no load. I've been sitting there for a week. I'm from Ontario. I cannot do loads inside US, right? And my load board, as soon as I search inside US, just out of curiosity, there's like a bunch of loads, a ton of loads for my trailer. As soon as I put Canada, 9 loads, and they're all like multiple listings. Basically it was like 6 loads, and I talked to all of them, and they did not work, or they were too cheap, you know. And so, but I don't see, everything else is slow as well. I saw one load in Chicago. Somebody had a big farm tractor, and they just got stuck. They wanted to have those pull-out outriggers. Like I said, what's the big deal? I have outriggers. I have the outrigger boards, right? No, this thing is 13 feet 11 inches wide. They won't pull out outriggers, and the price was okay, you know. But I checked the permit cost, and the permits would cost 1/3 of the price. And I said, can you at least add more money, you know, because the trucker will basically pay for permit, for fuel, and then you'll have a couple of bucks for coffee and a donut, you know. Oh no, you don't have the pull-out outriggers. They don't want ship on a regular truck. Son of a gun. So anyway, so all I have nothing. My car is in Canada. At least I can drive my car when I'm sitting doing nothing, right? And that's 1,700 miles away. And I have this auction in Pennsylvania that maybe I got lucky, right? And the guy picks me. And so I decided, that's it. I'm done with Texas. I left Ganado. So that's why I showed, I crossed Houston. And as I'm crossing Houston, I remember that on the night before I went to Ritchie Brothers website, and I was checking for auctions, like maybe there's an upcoming auction or an auction somewhere where it just finished. Getting so hot, sorry. And turns out, to my surprise, I saw on yesterday, I see that it says Houston, Texas, Ritchie Brothers. There was an auction, 2-day auction, November 5th, November 6th. And then because I got a user account with Ritchie Brothers, so I can see, it's like a free account, anybody can register, but this gives you the ability, you can bid on loads online. I think they gave me up to like 150 grand. I can bid. And the best part is you can see what was sold, and you can see the price. And so I looked at the results of this auction, Houston, and I see like page after page of stuff that was sold, right? And there's like all kinds of construction machinery, you know. But of course I have no idea if any of them are going to Canada or not, but I just remembered this. I'm driving and I'm driving right by that auction because it's right at US 59, and my GPS sent me right on US 59, and I'm looking through the right window. There's like rows upon rows of yellow iron, a bunch of excavators. I see trucks sitting there waiting to be loaded. I see big cranes moving something. It's like a huge site, you know. And then I stop at the Flying J, just north of Houston. That's where I am right now, and decided to have breakfast because they have Denny's here. And I check my app on the phone for loads, and all of a sudden I see a new load that somebody, like, normally brokers, you know, they're human beings, right? Nobody works on weekends. It's only truckers work on weekends. But this girl says, call or text this number, and she has a load from North Carolina to Quebec, Canada. And the rate is okay. It's a heavy excavator. No, it's a rock truck, but it's shipping on Thursday. Today's Saturday, right? It's shipping on Thursday. And I'm telling you, I always have reservations about shipments that are posted with the days so far in the future, like a week, 2 weeks. Always something is amiss with these loads, and usually they don't happen because people keep postponing them. Because first of all, why would you post a load with a future date? That means that you're not sure. You have no idea when it's shipping. So brokers, guys, if you watch this, please don't do this. You know, don't post a load that you have no idea whether it'll be shipped or not, because truckers, you know, then they bid, they talk to you, and then, you know, we sit there for 4 days, and then you tell us that the load was canceled, you know, or oh yeah, it's actually shipping in the first week of December. And so I for one would never look at the load like that, except, you know, I'm kind of like in a desperate situation. I have no loads, right? And I have a 1,700-mile deadhead ahead of me. And so I called her, and she says, yeah, it's a rock truck. You okay with the price? I look at the price, and I said, well, it's not too bad. If you could add a couple of bucks, it would be great, because it cannot go, like I said, you have to go through Ontario. It's extra miles because it's heavy, la la la. Because I know where you can cross with this stuff. Because I'm local, right? I'm from Ontario, and you have to go through Ontario to get to Quebec with this load. Anyway, she was checking with the customer, and then I called her. I said, okay, so are you okay with that rate, like slightly increased rate? I sent you, like, I just added like 10% for the extra miles. And she says, oh, I was just talking to the customer. Actually, they're not sure when it's going to be shipping. And I said, didn't I tell you that when we first hooked up, you know, on the phone? I said, I always I always worry when loads like this come across my way. And she says, yeah, they're not sure because there's something with the paperwork or something there. It's not going to be ready on Thursday. And so I'm stuck here. I have no prospects unless that auction in Pennsylvania will happen, but I decided to stay here because and Monday is a Veterans Day. Monday is a holiday. So I checked Ritchie Brothers Facebook page. They list the hours. It says today they're closed, but I saw a bunch of, it's probably like the office is closed, but I saw, you know, guys loading, unloading, or rather loading, because the next auction is only in April. Oh, and on their Facebook page they say this was our biggest auction yet in Houston. You know, Of course, they have a month to ship stuff. Like the buyers that bought the machinery, they don't have to pick it up right away. But you know, I'm already here, right? Like there's nothing for me in Illinois or Indiana, like the dubious load in PA that chances are will not happen. So I might as well stay here. There's a restaurant, there's a cheap fuel, and check this out. Pilot, the price of the Pilot is $3 per gallon. Across the street, $2.59 a gallon. And people still buy fuel here. Why? Because they work for, most of them are company guys, right? And you have a fuel card, and this fuel card will not work at that station, it only works here. And people are just overpaying 40 cents a gallon. And that's another reason I decided to stay here. I might just go across the street and, you know, pay $2.59 and fill up both of my humongous tanks and be ready for Tuesday, you know. So that's the update. Just a little bit of a glimpse into a trucker's life, you know, the choices we have to make sometimes when like a bad load situation and you're far away from home. What do? You know, and I just wanted to show you guys brokers and wannabe truckers. That's what kind of like thinking process you go through. So you really have to be, you know, very proactive, and it's kind of like a chess game, you know. Where do you go? Like, because you go to Chicago and then of course there'll be like 20 loads in Texas, and then you're too far away, you know. But I'll give it a few more days here in Texas, because November there still should be some loads shipping that where people try to close their books before the end of the year. But I definitely cannot sit more than 1 week again, because I already spent 1 week here. So anyway, thanks for watching. Be warm if you're in Saskatchewan, and be cool if you're in Texas. Weather here is great. See, I'm wearing a t-shirt.